Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jay Fuse. I'm joined here today by Gary Abiog of Standard Insights, and we're going to be talking today about the rise of artificial intelligence for marketing precision. And so what's kind of neat and unique about today's show is we're actually doing what I call a fireside chat. I know there's no fire, but that's okay. We'll all get over it. But this is where sometimes we actually sit down with our guest, where we're right next to them, something that we don't always get to do. And believe it or not, on the other side of this computer, we actually have a studio audience. So thank you, Hart, for coming out and watching us today. And so let's get started. And Jerry, tell me a little bit about what is the story of how Standard Insights got started?
Yeah, thanks, Jim, and thanks, everyone. And Jim, wanted to thank you. It's an honor to be here. I know we've been trying to coordinate this for a while. Our schedules finally meshed. But Standard Insights actually started because of a business failure. I was working about 4 years ago with doing some consulting work with sales and marketing with an AI machine learning company. Well, that startup failed. It bombed big time. But what I learned during my time with that client is that something was bubbling beneath the surface with regards to AI and machine learning applications. And fast forward 4 years later, it's predicted that the artificial intelligence industry is projected to grow by close to 400 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, in 5 years. So it's not if, it's when all this stuff is happening. So, during this time when the last startup melted down, I met my future co-founder. He used to live in Atlanta. He was visiting from India. And this gentleman pitched me a prototype. He used to work for a Fortune 50 company here in town as a technology architect. And he pitched me this prototype, this AI as a service platform that enabled businesses large and small to execute data-driven, omni-channel campaigns using explainable AI. He pitched me this idea, this prototype, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I just came off from an AI startup that didn't go so well. But he showed me things are different. And I'm like, all right, I'll take your word for it. So this was 2 years ago. I took that prototype, that concept, to the outdoor retail show, Denver. A week later, I came back to Atlanta, had my first beta customers. And from there, we started to grow and adjust the platform to what our, at that point in time, beta customers were looking for. So we got two co-founders. We needed to fill out the team, and then along the way, along our journey, we met a co-founder who very strong experience in digital marketing. Not only that, but he was an angel investor for a company in the Bay Area called Standard Cognition. And that company, it's an AI-driven company, and now that company is worth $500 million.
Wow.
You can Google it, Standard Cog. And then we rounded out the team with a gentleman who had a master's degree in computer science. So trying to form a strong team, and what we sought to take to market was a simple tool that was cloud driven, that anyone can use, businesses large or small, or even the most non-technical of non-technical guys, and that's me. And we chose the name Standard Insights. So when you think of standard, typically it's a level of excellence. Insights is understanding of relationships that solves a problem. So we aim to be the global provider, the global standard, if you will, of how successful businesses prioritize and execute data-driven campaigns from insights derived from their data.
Right. And I want to say hello to some of our friends out there on LinkedIn. We've got Jeff, Randy, Marco, and Carlotta. Thanks for joining us. And that's quite fascinating. And it's interesting that you talk about standard insights and even standard cognition. I was watching actually on the History Channel a show about Rockefeller and the starting of Standard Oil, and just the fact by creating a standard and people expecting the same thing every time is so important. And so I think it's interesting that you guys picked that, whether it was accidental or not, but it really will give people that confidence, like, okay, I'm going to get something that I can understand, and it's on a level platform.
The pressure's on, but yeah, it was accident, not accident. So it was planned, not planned. But yeah, there's a play on words with other companies that are, have a high valuation. So
right,
there's some truth behind that.
Right. So that's pretty cool. So here the term artificial intelligence used quite a bit. What exactly is AI, Jerry?
AI in a real Cliff Notes version is getting a computer to think and act like a human being. It's funny, Jim, 5 years ago when I was at that other startup, I would go to people, hey, my name's Jerry Abiog, I'm with this company, we have AI, machine learning. I'd talk to 10 people. 2 would kind of get artificial intelligence. The other 8 would look at me that I was like a monster. Like, what are you talking about? Fast forward 5 years, it's the opposite. 7 to 8 people like, okay, yeah, I think I've heard. I mean, what exactly does it do? Is it going to take my job away? No, it's not. But and 2, don't. But yeah, so it's building momentum. The verbiage, the buzz is definitely out there, and we're actually seeing it with stuff we use in our everyday lives. Amazon with the product recommendations, Netflix with movie recommendations, and man, you could see it being used, everywhere to help out with sales and marketing trends, to help out with, forecasting trends, chatbots, security. I mean, you name it. The amount of data, or they say the data is the new oil, is massive. From what's on our phones, right? All the apps we use on our phones, to our web browsing history, to everything. We're all connected in some form or fashion with data, unless you're living under a rock and you're only using a flip phone.
Right. And I think that's one of the things too that we don't always think about, is the fact that we're already seeing artificial intelligence at work. We had a guest on the Tim and Jim show, Caitlin Chernus from Lately, and they are using AI to create content. And she said that a very same exact example of how Netflix will start telling you, like, oh, based on this show or movie you just watched, we think you'd like this. And you kind of scratch your head like, well, how does it know that? It's recognizing patterns. And I guess when you start saying you agree or disagree with it, it actually makes it get even better. And
yeah.
And is that also, would you say, part of the idea behind Alexa?
Yeah, so it learns on, on top of things, right? Yeah, so it's learning, upon conversations, that you have. I mean, I was telling Alexa the other day at home, let my dog Angus out of the crate, Alexa, say good morning, Angus. And at first she can like, oh, I'm still trying to learn. But over time, I mean, I've said it like 5 or 6 times. Now she can say the dog's name.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's learning. So yeah, just whether it's Alexa or Amazon or Netflix, it learns from past experiences. And the more experiences it has, the better the predictions it can make.
So Jerry, you wrote a paper about, as we like to call it, AI doppelganger driven marketing. And you say that it's the next wave of Facebook. What exactly is that wave?
Yeah, so when you ask someone, hey, what does doppelganger mean? It means something that looks like someone without it being a twin. And yeah, Facebook has, when you go in and place ads, it does give you the opportunity to build a lookalike audience. But let me ask you this, Jim. Is that and I think you know something about Facebook ads, putting them together. I mean, is that lookalike audience based on facts or your best guess?
Right. I mean, I think it's probably more of a best guess. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on and talk about what you guys are doing is, we've had, and I know you've talked to a couple other social media agencies. So as an example, if I were to take this phone and say, where did this phone get bought? Facebook can't really tell me, but your software is actually able to say, those phones, that specific model, were bought by women between the ages of 35 and 55 in Detroit, Michigan. And now that's a whole different game, because if I have multiple items and I'm trying to sell them all to the wrong place, now you guys are giving me the ability to actually create those very refined audiences that now tie exactly into that thing.
Yeah, you're 110% right. So if I go to you, hey, Jim, I want to hire you as my digital marketer. I'm giving you the keys to my data set and to my business Facebook account. So I'm going to give you two companies. Company A is an e-commerce company. They've got roughly 200,000 customers, and they sell 50 products online. And I go, hey, Jim, we're not doing so well with our Facebook ads. I want you to create for me a custom audience that shows the top 3 selling products in my top city and state. So that's number one example. The second example, and I know we had some questions prior to the show. I think your cohort, Tim, right?
Mm-hmm.
He asked if this could apply to the local mom and pop, brick and mortar. Absolutely. So, company, B, hey, Jim, I got a brick and mortar, business that has quite a bit less customers, 10,000 customers, and quite a bit less product service offerings. It has 10. But Jim, I've got demographic data that breaks all 10,000 down by gender, by income, and educational level. And I said, create a custom audience based on those, demographics. The first example was geographic. Second is demographic. Now with Facebook's current setup, which they do, right? The, custom audience campaign, create me a custom audience within 10, 15 minutes, go. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of data to sift through, even if you're good in math. So now with AI-driven doppelganger marketing, you can create customized audience, that are based on facts, that are based on science.
Right. And I think one of the other things that I found extremely fascinating about what your company is able to do is the fact that, so as an example, you can actually take that existing audience and say, and this is where, I really like it because it reminds me of Pat Flynn and his super fans and David Meerman Scott with his Fanocracy. These are your top customers. These are the people that are engaged based on habits, based on activity, so that you as the company can say, okay, I need to keep those people involved, whether it's sending them a card or reaching out to them or understanding that, what do these people look like? These are the people I want to create lookalike audiences as. And you've also talked to me before about how you could say, these are the people that you're about to lose. That's not something that I think we necessarily see out of, if you want to call it, our classic Facebook ad setting. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you must have read, or you did some research on my videos I have on YouTube. You're absolutely right. You took our pitch away, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we could synthesize, for the first example, 200,000 customers over 10 based on their potential, profitability. Looking at things, and I'm going to get geeky right here, RFM for you data science types, how once, recent they bought or purchased, how often and how much money they've spent. Not only that, we could help create, loyalty programs. So for the e-commerce store, hey, people in California, will get a, discount X. People in Georgia will discount Y. And we can rank all these customers on their potential profitability, starting off with the champion all the way down to sleeping. You could have multitudes of buckets in between. So to your point, yeah, you're getting a really highly targeted, really highly specific. With the champion customers, you want to treat them with kid gloves. I mean, these are your promoters. They'll try new products for you, and then maybe all the way down to the sleeping. maybe you can, when you're looking at your marketing budget, maybe the sleeping folks who bought from you once 3 years ago have never returned. Maybe you don't have to spend so much of your marketing dollars, targeting at them. But on and on, like you put in the title of the show today, it's all about precision marketing. And when you're more precise, it just helps you drive growth and become more competitive. And it's a competitive business climate that we're in today.
Right. And I want to thank Stacy, who's also joined us on LinkedIn, and Stacy said some great insight for Standard Insight.
Hey, thanks, Stacy.
So, Jerry, Facebook has a broken process, and it's creating a disconnect between social media marketing and analytics. You want to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, I had this big fact sheet, but I left it home. But I believe, memory serves me, that in America, over 70% of adults, obviously 18 and over, are on Facebook. And another fact is over 50% rely on Facebook, or when they're buying new products, a lot of that started from seeing something on Facebook. And then in 2018, I believe they earned in the fourth quarter close to 20 billion in ad revenue. That's a big juggernaut of a company. However, like we talked about this, all they do is they want your money. That's it, plain and simple. Look what's going on in the political climate. Whoever can take advantage of, Facebook is just earning gobs and gobs of money, and they don't really care if Jim or your clients are getting their appropriate return on ad spend. In fact, there was an article, I think it was an Ad Week, right? I had shared it with you just 2 days ago. Facebook is putting the handcuffs on their their cookie program. They're backing off on that, and they're also backing off on the amount of data or insight you can draw from the devices when people click on it. So yeah, they're putting the handcuffs. So what do you do as a digital marketer? What do you do for your client, or even if you're the owner yourself? I think what you've got to do in this case, and Facebook is clamping down on things, could be argued this is good, right? Because of all the data mishaps that had happened, is that you as an individual person have to take the power away from Facebook. And what does taking the power away from Facebook mean? It's really taking ownership of your data, taking ownership and knowing what it's saying about your customers. And to your point earlier, whether it's scoring everyone on their potential profitability, or identifying key precise segments on where your product is selling, whether it's city and state or country, or more demographics, certain age group buckets. But if individuals can take ownership of their data, they can see more results.
Well, and I think it's amazing to me. We are actually now in a generation where, because of data and computers and technology, and just even in the equipment that we're using here, there's so much power and capability. And so why not use a program like Standard Insights to actually be able to manage the data and actually be able to get, measurable results. And I think just the fact that it's, and that's what I think people have to understand. It's more than your program helps them create a better lookalike audience. There's so many other things. Just the fact that you can sit there and analyze and start to understand, Hart is our number one customer. So what does he like? What does he buy? Because even if you wanted to create a focus group, right? Now you can do that just from taking the data. You could even send this small group of people an email and say, hey, we've identified that you're one of our top customers. How'd you like to, come in for a focus group and help us come up with our next big idea?
Yeah, absolutely. And even I was talking to someone the other day, I was doing a presentation. Even if someone's good in math. And I gave them, hey, here's a spreadsheet of 200,000 customers. Please break down, within literally minutes of who were to, you could be good in math, you could be good in science, background statistics, computer science, but I don't know if anyone can, absorb those 200,000 customers, that spreadsheet, and spit out info.
Mm-hmm.
And in today's gaming age, it's the person who can, prioritize and execute based on, insights from their data, they're going to win.
Right.
There was an article the other day, I believe it was Accenture, not the other day, but they put out a study last November that of 75% of C-level execs that were interviewed, if they did not incorporate any sort of, AI implementation, that they could be out of a job, within 5 years. I mean, this is how, crucial to being competitive in today's data-driven world is, that you got to start thinking about what AI can do for your business, whether you're the mom and pop, as long as you have sufficient, data all the way to the enterprise level.
Right.
Right. Before I got here, I got a meeting with an enterprise, around $5 billion, next Monday. So it's a little late coming here, but yeah.
But the other thing too that we've talked about is you guys really can help franchises.
Yeah, absolutely.
And why don't you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so a couple things. I've signed a couple NDAs, so I'll be just real high level. So give you a couple examples. One franchise that we're working with, they do painting, and they've got roughly 200 locations around the U.S. and I believe they've got anywhere between 8,000 to 10,000 product or service offerings with their painting classes. So their CMO reached out to me. They want to be able to identify what are their top 5 to 10 painting classes across the board amongst the 200. So now she can better allocate and better schedule with what all the different classes are available, or pictures. So that's one thing in a nutshell. Then obviously take that and execute data-driven campaigns. Another franchise we're talking to, working with, if you will, it's a trampoline park. They've got, I don't know, maybe 50,000 customers, but they've got all those 50,000 customers broken down in demographics. And I believe they've got maybe 20, jump time service offerings, if you will. So now we're able to pinpoint what age group or what demographics tend to buy or purchase certain, jump times, right? So when they're doing that, so it's just not throwing stuff, caution to win on what the best guess. We're actually analyzing and pinpointing data, and hey, this is what's going to work, this time around. And with artificial intelligence, as you may or may not know, it's unsupervised learning. So what happens today or the next 2-3 months trend could be a different trend, latter part of this year.
Wow.
So it's always constantly learning.
Right. That's amazing stuff. So what impact do you see AI having, Jerry, in business and in society as we move forward?
Man, it's going to be massive. I mean, with all the data that's available, couple applications off the top of my head. I mean, they're using AI to, hospitals are using artificial intelligence to determine high-risk patients. So now if they can identify those, the doctors and nurses can, act on it, possibly, saving time and money for a hospital, maybe even a lawsuit, right? So that's number one. We know AI is being used for security, facial recognition, number two. And then big part of AI, my favorite, because it falls in my bucket, is, sales and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of, we're only at the beginning stages of what AI can do, but the sky's the limit in what it can provide us as a society, both, at work and then off work, just like Amazon and, Uber. That's, AI stuff. I mean, anything that you can think of that gives you all these apps in your phone, yeah, they're starting to be driven by AI.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. And I know you touched on this a little bit earlier, but just as a final wrap up, Tim had asked on LinkedIn yesterday, are lookalike audience worth it though for local businesses? Because you definitely are working with some big businesses, like even here at the YMCA, they've got several different locations throughout the Atlanta area. Where would AI possibly be able to help them?
Yeah, so we can break things down within just typically franchise or mom and pop locations. They typically have up to a 5-10 mile radius, so we can break it down into buckets by zip codes. But even in a crowd, like Metro Atlanta, I mean, even within a 5 to 10 mile radius, I mean, there's a lot of people in that bucket where you can, if you have the demographic data, analyze and synthesize their behaviors and execute campaigns, whether it's email, text, or Facebook. So yeah, absolutely, it can work.
Awesome. And I know you wanted to give people an opportunity to learn more about the platform, and so I'm going to put this on the screen as far as what they can do to reach out to you. So if you want to check out Standard Insights and learn more and have an actual call with Jerry here, put Jim 10 in the comments on any of the platforms, and then we'll get
They'll get a 10% discount.
Yes,
yeah, Jim 10,
and then you'll also get a chance to talk to Jerry and learn, and you'll give him a free demonstration, actually.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Of what this program can do for your company. So Hart, out there in our audience, do you have any questions? No. So well, we appreciate. So my first live audience with a guest, right? So this has been pretty cool. Well, Jerry, thank you for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.
And,
we can put all the contact info on
yes.
on your comments.
Yeah, we'll put the contact info in the comments as well. I know Jerry's on LinkedIn, as well as Standard Insights is on LinkedIn and on Facebook. And do you guys have a YouTube channel as well?
Yeah, we do, but
Right.
we can send all those links.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And if you're available Wednesday, catch me with Tim on the Tim and Jim show at noon, when we'll be talking to Megan Powers about how you can use events in your marketing mix. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.